guys, it's Miss Pearson. Wanted to come on here and discuss with you the cross-cutting concepts. You went over the cross-cutting concepts and did a little activity last week on campus, but this week you are going to be putting some doodle notes in your scientist notebook. So you need to turn to the next available notes page. I'm using page 27. You may have page 25 or 26 that is available. I did space out because I was using marker and some of it bled through, so I didn't do like back-to-back notes. Okay, so our first cross-cutting concept is patterns. Patterns are everywhere in nature. Okay, patterns are repeating designs, structures, or events. If we can look for a pattern, it kind of helps us to make sense of the information. So here's different types of patterns that you may see. You've got spatial patterns. You can look at patterns of time, or you can look at patterns as a relationship. So if you're graphing something, you can look and see, is there a pattern? Is the car continuing to accelerate? Is the bacteria increasing as the temperature increases? Whatever, you can see a pattern, and that kind of helps you make sense of everything. Our next cross-cutting concept is cause and effect. Now you can pause this video at any time. That way you can write these things down. Now you don't have to have the same little colors or the bubbles or doodles that I have. I have put in pictures that I felt like would be beneficial to represent these cross-cutting concepts. But make this and tweak this to be your own design. So cause and effect. Every action has a consequence. Now, it could be a positive consequence, it could be a negative consequence, or it could be neutral. It may not affect the system at all. So I liked this example. You've got the sun here, and as the sun comes out, it's going to heat up the earth. So the sun's energy heats up the earth and temperatures rise. The cause would be the sun. What's the effect of the sun? Well, the temperature is rising. So the next one is scale, proportion, and quantity. Now, I really like this particular cross-cutting concept because I feel like you can use a wide range of examples to kind of understand this. So things are going to look different depending on how you look at them. So here on Earth, if I look up into the night sky, the moon looks relatively small. But you've got to consider where you are. Now, if you were to go to space and go to the moon, the Earth is going to look different. If you were putting yourself in an ant's point of view, okay, from an ant's point of view, we look huge. If you've ever seen that movie, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, it's a good way to kind of understand scale, proportion, and quantity. People see things differently depending on where they are. So you're not going to see the world the way an ant does because of the scale, proportion, and quantity. The next cross-cutting concept is system and system models. So a system is any group of related parts that work together to carry out functions that the individual parts cannot do on their own. So example, human body. So we could say the circulatory system. The heart on its own cannot keep everything functioning properly the way that the circulatory system can do, because there's so many other components of the circulatory system. You've got the blood. You've got all of your blood vessels. There are many different components that are a part of a particular system that work together and rely on each other. Organisms and ecosystems, okay? So an organism on its own could not support an ecosystem. It's all the different organisms working together that help to keep an ecosystem healthy. So this turtle here, now don't laugh, I've tried my very best. This turtle's body systems work together. Okay, it's got its circulatory system, its respiratory system, its nervous system. And all of those systems work together to keep that turtle alive and to allow it to function properly. And then if you think about the turtle, okay, a turtle is an organism. That one turtle is not going to keep an ecosystem alive. But working together with other organisms, and if you want to include abiotic factors, they're going to allow an ecosystem to thrive and to be healthy. So that's an example of a system and system models. So there are 3 more cross-cutting concepts that we will talk about. I actually skipped over and did another page. I didn't do it right on the back of this one so you can see how my pens kind of bled through. Okay, so we've got energy and matter. Let me move this down here. Energy and matter. Energy and matter change forms and flow through a system. Energy and matter cannot be created or destroyed. That's the law of conservation of energy, okay, and the law of conservation of mass. So I like this example right here. You've got this little person that is getting ready to go down the slide. You've got potential energy and you've got kinetic energy. So this potential energy right up here, okay, this is the stored energy. Once that person gets going, it's now in motion, and that potential energy is converted into kinetic energy. Okay, down here, eventually, that person's going to stop, and there's going to be the kinetic energy converted to potential energy again when he comes back here on the top of the slide. So, just remember, and this is something that you should already know, that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It's the law of conservation of energy and mass. It is converted and recycled from one form to another. Structure and function. So, with structure and function, okay, the structure of an organism depends on its function. Okay, so here's a good example. So my hand, okay, the way that my hand is structured allows me to grip things. It allows me to pick up things. It allows me to be able to do many things. But now my arm, okay, your arm area is much different. Your nose is much different. The structure. Your nose, your arm, sorry guys. Your nose, your arm, your ear, they all have different structures, which allows them to function differently. So your ear, you can't pick things up with, okay? So the structure of something determines its function, and the function, how it works, depends on the structure. So these are intertwined, and they are very dependent upon each other. So plants and animals have structures that perform specific functions, okay? Your ears cannot grab, hold, and turn the doorknob, okay? Or hold on to something as you are, if you're driving a car, the steering wheel. Your hands are made, the structure of them allows them to help you to function, to hold on to something, to grip something, to balance something. Your ear, your nose, your leg is not going to have that same structure, which in turn means it's not going to have that same function. Pretty cool. All right, and lastly, you've got stability and change. In nature, some things stay the same, but some things can change very quickly. It's just dependent on the situation. And small changes in one part of a system might cause large changes in another. So here's an example, a volcano, which we will talk about later on in the year. A once stable mountain eventually erupts forms a volcano, and changes the landscape. Okay? A mountain was once very stable. Over time, there are small changes that happen under the earth, okay, in the earth's crust. Pressure and force eventually give way, and it causes a volcano to form. Now, depending on how active that volcano is, could depend on how often it erupts, how dangerous it is, and how it would change the landscape. So stability and change is very important when we look at this in science. So if you need to go back, by all means go back and review and rewind this video to get these in your notes. At the end, I want you to summarize, what are the cross-cutting concepts? Why do we use them? What is the benefit of knowing what these things are? And finally, make sure that you come back here to the table of contents, okay? And you would put for cross-cutting concepts, page 27 through 29. So always keep your table of contents up to date.